Okay, so I believe, all right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our April. How is it April already? Oh my gosh, our April Rising Leaders Huddle. This is the wonderful opportunity every single month that we have to come together as lead consultants, star consultants, superstar consultants, and even above. Whoever wants to join can join. Any leader or rising leader can join, where we all connect and talk about all things leadership. So we've got some people on here who are on for their very first Rising Leaders Huddle because they just promoted to a leadership title. So if that's you, use the chat. We want to congratulate you and welcome you properly to your very first Rising Leaders Huddle. Or even if you just promoted to a new title last month, please share. I know we had some promotions. Deb's on here. I believe I saw Deb, and she promoted to director last month. Crystal promoted to lead last month. Congratulations to both of you. That's so exciting. It's so much fun watching as people get to promote and grow their businesses. So in case you're watching this and you're wondering, who the heck am I even looking at here? My name is Katie Farner, and I am the Superstar Director of the lovely Sunshine State Superstars. I joined Cincy in May of 2010, so I am getting ready to celebrate 12 years next month as a Cincy consultant. I love what I do, and now really my greatest passion and my whole business and my whole everything I do is you guys, helping our leaders grow and change their lives with their businesses, because this business has dramatically changed our family's business, or this business has dramatically changed our family's life. And all I want is to help more people experience blessings and freedom that comes along with this business. So tonight on our Rising Leaders Huddle, we are going to talk about healthy habits, specifically targeted around sponsoring. Sponsoring is, I would say, the subject that I probably get the most questions about, the most, I hear from most leaders that that's one of the areas that they struggle with the most. So if you're on here and that's you and you're like, yeah, struggling, sponsoring is something that I'm actively working on, improving on, because that's what we say, right? We don't say, oh, I can't sponsor. We don't say that. That's a fixed mindset, and that is not going to get us anywhere. What we do say is, I have an opportunity for growth in sponsoring, and I am actively learning how to develop that skill. Because that's one of the things about this business. Everything is a skill that we can develop. And I think that that is like the greatest news ever. I mean, imagine if I told you, Crystal, I'm sorry, but you just weren't born a great recruiter, and you're never going to be. I mean, isn't that like, that would be a big bummer, right? But that's not the way this business works. Every single aspect of this business is a skill that can be developed. Give me, for example, I never had healthy recruiting habits for my first year and a half of my business. And as a result, I wasn't growing, right? But once I learned what were healthy habits for sponsoring and was consistent, AKA habit, was consistent in implementing those things, that's when I really started to see change. Okay. And I think the other thing with sponsoring that I really want you guys to hear me when I say is, what's most important is that we focus on the number of conversations that we're having, not the outcome of the conversations. Is it important that we reflect on what the outcomes are and we see if we have an opportunity for growth? Like maybe we need some tweaking in our approach? Yes. But what I'm saying is, I don't want you to get obsessed with a number. Like, yes, we say, hey, let's try to average 2 new recruits and 2,000 PRV every single month if we really want to grow a business here. That's a great thing to focus on an average. Yes, but I don't want you to be like, oh, I didn't recruit 2 people last month. I'm failing. This isn't going to work for me. No, focus on the number of conversations, and you will find that through consistency in that, you're going to be averaging 2 new recruits a month. I promise you that. Last month I recruited 1. This month I've recruited 1 so far. I'm not beating myself up because I didn't recruit 2. I've had months where I recruited 13. I've had months where I recruited 7, and then I've had months where I recruited goose egg. It's gonna vary. Your consistency in offering is what you really wanna focus on, because at the end of the year, you're gonna look back and you're gonna say, hey, I ended up sponsoring an average of 2 a month or 1.6 a month or whatever. Trust me. Okay, so let's talk about creating habits. One of my favorite books is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Have any of you read that book? Use the chat, let me know. There are even some great videos on YouTube. There are even some great videos on YouTube where he does like TED Talks or whatever. So you can even do that as well to get a good idea about it. So I'm going to touch briefly on some of his points, and then I'm also going to share the link to this in our team page. This is a free workbook that is online about habits. It's a very large workbook, and it is very thorough and very nice. So this Atomic Habits workbook is something that you can easily implement into your personal life and your business. So if you have not read that book, I would highly recommend it. It is a very, very good book. So one of the biggest points that I think is important to remember in regards to habits is that our habits are what define our trajectory, right? It's not what we do occasionally that is going to define our trajectory. It's what we do consistently. It's what our habits are. And a lot of times we think, okay, if I want big growth or a big change in my business, I have to do big things. I got to make big stuff happen. But in reality, it's the tiny things that we do, that we incorporate consistently, that create a compounding effect that do bring about big change. So I want you to think about your current habits in regards to, it's easy to think big picture, but I want you to hone in right now for this specific training. I want you to hone in on recruiting, okay? Let's talk about your habits in relation to recruiting. Do you have any habits? And you might off the cuff think no, but ask yourself, do I offer a host earn a kit every single time I have a hostess? Every single party, do I offer earn a kit to a hostess? That's a healthy habit, right? You're probably already doing that. I'm assuming you are, because you're all lead consultants or above. So I would assume you're probably all doing that, right? Are you creating your own party every single month so you can earn a kit and give it away? And are you offering that every single month to somebody on your list? Are you keeping a list of people that you have presented the business opportunity who have said no for now? That's a healthy habit. A lot of the things that you're probably already doing, you might not be thinking of right now off the cuff, but those are examples of healthy habits. Nothing big, nothing mind-blowing or mind-altering, right? But those are small, healthy habits that are going to create a big impact when done consistently. So use the chat. Tell me, what are some healthy habits that you already are doing in your business in regards to recruiting? Maybe some of the things I mentioned, maybe some things I didn't mention, because I only just mentioned a couple things. Use the chat. I want to hear some of your habits that you already have. And if you don't, that's okay. I'm not here to, beat you up. Being in this business is an evolution, right? We evolve, we grow, we learn, and we implement new things. Okay, so ask yourself, what kind of habits do I have in regards to recruiting? And are those habits leading me on a trajectory to growth? Or do I have an opportunity to make some changes in regards to that? So Crystal said, I always have an open party. I also add join info to all my mailers, including a join my team sticker on my envelopes. Great. Those are all great healthy habits for recruiting. I do offer the host kit to the hostess as an option to use for her free credit. I need to offer it to others if or when she says no. Great. Yes, Irene's recognizing a healthy habit that she has and also an opportunity for growth as well. Rachel says, doing the list tool you gave last meeting for networking, reaching out to a new group each week for talking about joining the business. Excellent. That's a great healthy habit. And you see her habit is once a week. Once a week, she's got this in place. That is where the habit part comes in, because there's the consistency there. There's the schedule there. Crystal said, same Irene, join flyer to go in everything I mail. I love it. Another great healthy habit. Okay, so ask yourself, are the habits that I am currently implementing putting me on a trajectory for success? Or are they not? Am I headed in the destination? Am I headed towards the destination? Am I headed in the direction for what I want with my habits? So let me ask you, and this is something I want you to write down, and we're going to come back to it at the end. I want you guys to leave tonight with one tiny habit that you are going to start incorporating tomorrow in regards to your recruiting. One tiny habit that you're going to start incorporating tomorrow. Okay, so, and the thing is, our habits are either compounding in a positive direction or they're compounding in a negative direction. So I really want you to think about that. A lot of times we just kind of get into we go into the motions and we don't really think about the effects of our actions and the effects of the things that we do. I mean, you might not realize it, but like so many of these things we do that are so small, they are habits. Like showering every single day, brushing our teeth, making a cup of coffee in the morning or whatever, checking our email. Those are all habits, right? And so our habits are either for us or against us. So being on this training tonight in itself is a small compounding habit that is a positive thing that is going to bring about good results in your business, right? So making sure that every single month you're doing everything you can to get on this live. Like, yeah, watching the playback, whatever, but like get on it live if you can. You know when it is all year long. It's the second Tuesday of every month at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So plan ahead, plan around it, do everything you can to be on here live and join us and join this community of rising leaders. Okay, so I want to talk to you about something that is really important. We think too often that we do something and we should get the result. But unfortunately, that's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. Like, think about working out, for example. About 12 weeks ago, I got a Peloton. And I've never cycled, like literally, I shouldn't say never. I think I got on a bike in a gym and cycled like once or twice. But I never took a cycling class. I never really got into cycling. But I've had some health things since I had my son. I have 2 hernias, a hiatal and an umbilical. And so I have to be really careful with how I work out and what I do. And so I've had to change a lot of things. And I was just getting bored and I needed another form of cardio because that's basically all I could do anymore. So I got a Peloton. And at first, when I got the Peloton, I still love it. I fell in love with it. And I wanted to do the big girl classes, right? Like I was like ready to go. I'm like, I'm sick of these like beginner classes. I'm ready to do a big girl class. Like I want to get better faster. I want to develop my muscle, develop my grip, develop my strength in my legs to do this faster. And I was getting frustrated because it was taking a while to see that I was improving and to see that I could handle tougher classes and to see that my body was actually starting to change, right? And I was starting to develop muscle. Now it's been about probably like 12 to 14 weeks, somewhere in that time frame. And now, after 12 to 14 weeks, I am starting to see that, wow, I can hang in the big girl classes now. I'm not, at the top of the leaderboards by any means, but I can hang, and I am starting to see changes in my legs, changes in my butt. Like I'm starting to see these changes, and I'm like, okay. But in this place, where you start, and when you start to see results, there's this place called the Valley of Disappointment that James Clear calls it. He calls it the Valley of Disappointment. It's where we start taking these small actions, and those small actions are not really producing much. It's like that behind the scenes hustle that nobody sees and nobody knows what you're doing, and then you don't even have results to share for it. And it's this valley of disappointment where you're like, man, I'm not seeing the results for these actions yet. And that is where most people give up. That is where most people say, oh, well, this is just too hard. It's not working for me. It must be a problem with me, right? Who's been in a valley of disappointment before in their business? Right? Who's been in a valley of disappointment before in their health journey? Right? That valley of disappointment is real. So go into everything you do expecting it. It's such a different outcome when we change our perspective and we have that expectation. I know I'm going to be in this valley of disappointment. This valley of disappointment is not going to get me because I know it's coming and I'm just going to laugh in its face. Right? Imagine if we changed our perspective to that. Instead of expecting huge growth and big success with something new that we start implementing, and these tiny habits that we're implementing, and instead of that, we expect that valley of disappointment. How different would we handle the valley of disappointment if that's how we did it? Okay, so one of the things we really need to focus on is making the harder habits more attractive. Okay, so when I say the harder habits, what do I mean? I mean having business opportunity conversations, right? I would say that's one of the hardest habits about recruiting specifically, right? Wouldn't you say that's one of the hardest habits is just consistently talking to people about the business opportunity? Because we're afraid we're going to get rejected. We're afraid people are going to judge us. We're afraid we're going to sound stupid. We're afraid we're going to sound like an MLM yucky person, right? That's what we're afraid of. And so I would say that's one of the biggest habits that is hard. Wouldn't you guys agree? Okay. So what we have to do in order to, and this is James Clear's teaching, right? I'm taking James Clear's content and making it related to Sensi. Okay. So James teaches us in his book that we have to make hard habits more attractive, and we have to make bad habits less attractive. So how do we do that? How do we make hard habits really about recruiting, selling, partying, any of it, coaching our team? How do we make those hard habits more attractive? Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a Sensi example. So let's say asking for bookings, right? So in the Sensi example, we would say asking for bookings is the hard habit, or asking someone to join our team is the hard habit, right? So asking for bookings. Asking for bookings equals more parties, which equals more PRV, which equals paid at title, or even a promotion, right? So when we associate that hard thing with good results, that is how we change the narrative in our minds about that hard habit. So let's take the example of making a bad habit less attractive. Okay, so an example would be not following up. Okay, so not following up equals customers who don't feel valued or appreciated, which equals customers who aren't loyal to you and will go elsewhere. You see what we're doing there? We're changing our narrative in our minds about that bad habit, the bad habit of not following up. Not following up equals customers who don't feel valued or appreciated, which equals customers who are not loyal to you and will go elsewhere to get their wax. Is that the end result that we want? Nope. So doesn't that make that bad habit of not following up less attractive? So what I want to challenge you to do is think about any hard habits for recruiting and think about bad habits that you have currently regarding recruiting. And I want you to flip this script and change your perspective. And I want you to make your hard habits, the good habits that you want to implement, more attractive. with statements like what I just gave you examples of. And I want you to make bad habits less attractive, like using the example that I just gave you. Okay, so that's one of your little homework assignments to help you implement this in your own business. Okay, so write this down. That's what you want to do. Make your hard habits more attractive and make your bad habits less attractive. Okay, and another tip from James Clear is when it comes to our good habits, it's important to create minimal friction, right? So let's say that we want to once a week go live or do an Instagram story or a Facebook story about the business opportunity. What are some things we can do to reduce that friction? Like let's say that, I'll just give me for an example, right? So let's say that I want to go live on Fridays, and what Fridays I'm going to talk about the business opportunity on my stories, right? So what could I do to reduce the friction to make sure that I do that? Okay, so I'm going to put it on my planner, on my agenda, Friday at 3 o'clock. I know my son will be asleep, and so I'm going to put it on my planner. I can set an alert in my phone to remind me at 2:30 that I want to do that. So if I want to put on a little makeup and spruce up, myself so I don't look quite so ratchet on my stories, I can do that. And then I could put out a possibility packet, have that laid out so that's ready to go. It's right in front of my face so I see it. And I can hold that up and show that off during my live. So those are ways that you would kind of reduce friction. So making it easier by laying things out, by making yourself reminders and alerts of what you're going to do, putting it in your agenda, putting it in your planner so it's a set plan. That's one example of how we reduce friction in order to do these good habits. Another thing he said is that we need to increase the friction for our bad habits. So if there is a bad habit that you have in regards to recruiting, how can you increase the friction, right? So we change our perspective about it by saying not following up equals customers who don't feel valued or appreciated equals customers who are not loyal to us, right? We're changing the narrative in our minds, but we also need to increase the friction for those bad habits. So it's not something that we want to do, okay? So those are just a few tips that I wanted to share with you from his book about creating healthy habits. And a quote that I actually wrote down from James Clear is, "What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided." And that's a quote from his book that I thought was really impactful. And honestly, for me, it speaks to me a lot from a leadership perspective, from the perspective of, you guys have probably heard me say before, what gets rewarded and recognized gets repeated in regards to your team members and in regards to your customers. So it's important to think about that on that aspect. But what James is specifically talking about is our own habits, right? Our own habits. If something is quickly rewarded with a positive thing, it's repeated. So the hard thing is, while we're in that valley of disappointment, right? While we're implementing these small things and we're not getting anywhere, we're not getting rewards. And so it's difficult to continue to repeat it. So we need to find a way, as we are doing these habits, these small habits that are good for our business, good for our recruiting, good for our selling, whatever, that we're finding a way to reward it, to celebrate it. Like for me, one of the things that I find very rewarding and very satisfying is checking things off a to-do list. Is that you? Does that speak to you? Because a reward doesn't mean like, oh, I did this today, I'm going to go and buy myself a new purse. Like, that's not what we mean. Let's not like, go all crazy here. But it's small, simple rewards. Like, for example, checking things off a to-do list. That is very satisfying for me, right? So that's a small reward, right? Or maybe it's, oh, I did this, I'm going to go and have, a piece of my favorite candy, like small, tiny ways to reward yourself as you are building these good habits is very important. So don't forget about that. Okay, so let's talk about the healthy recruiting habits that we want to make sure that we're consistently doing. Okay, so we already talked about a couple of them, but I'm just going to kind of lay it all out and go over everything. Okay, so number one, we need to learn and recognize the difference between no and no for now. Most of the time when we offer the business opportunity to someone, it is a no for now reason. Most of the time, they are uncertain about starting a business because they have insecurities or concerns or worries, or maybe a bad, previous experience, or they have a significant other who's not on board, or it's just a difficult season of their life, or maybe they're starting a new job. Most often it's a no for now. So we need to learn how to distinguish that and how to handle that. Okay. So when somebody tells you something that is a no for now, have a notebook, have a list in your phone of these people. Write their name down, put their name in your phone, write their reasoning why they're a no for now, and write when you're going to follow up with them next. And make sure that it's relative to what's going on in their life. Maybe they're telling you like they're starting a new job and they need a little time to get comfortable there before they want to implement something new. Follow up again in a month. Check in with them. And like one of the common questions I get so often about recruiting is, well, like, I don't know, what do you say to people? So let's say that I was talking to Jill about joining my team, and she was like, oh, I'm starting a new job. Like, I just can't even like think about it right now. Whatever. So I'd write it down. Jill, starting a new job. Follow up again on May 10th. Okay. So May 10th comes around. Maybe I miss it. All right. I follow up with her May 12th. It's not that big of a deal. Within a couple days, it's not a big deal, right? Don't beat yourself up if you don't follow up on May 10th. But right around that time, you want to follow up with her again. And you want to reach back out and say, hey, Jill, how's the new job? I hope you're loving it. Come about it from that perspective, right? That's a great way to open the conversation. Check in on her. How is she doing? How's her new job? And then after she responds to you, say, oh, good. I'm glad you're getting settled in the new job. I wanted to touch base with you. Last time we had chatted about you starting a Scentsy business, and you let me know that you wanted to get settled in your new job and all that good stuff. So I just want to check back in with you and see if you had some questions or there's anything you want to talk about your Scentsy business. Or you could approach it from the perspective of, hey, I know we've chatted about you starting a Scentsy business as a side hustle, as a way to make some extra money. I'd love to talk to you more about that. You could either address her reason why she wanted to do it and share that with you, or you can address, hey, I know you had this going on, so I wanted to check back in with you. Any of those approaches is a great approach, but always start back by reconnecting, asking how they are, checking in on them, because ultimately we are trying to sorry, I had to admit someone. We are trying to help someone start a business to change their life for the better. We are not trying to get someone to join the business for our life to be better. And when that is your perspective, when that is your angle, people can tell. People don't want to join somebody's team who is just all about themselves and all about me. I want you to join because me. I'm trying to promote to star. I'm trying to promote to director. Like, I need more team members. So can you help me out and join my team? That is not going to take you far. I can promise you that. That is not going to take you far in this business. So if you come across as desperate, or if you come across as this is all about me, nobody's going to want to join your team. So make sure that you're making it clear it's about them. Okay. So that's a very important healthy habit that you want to be in a consistent pattern of implementing, knowing the difference between no and no for now, having a system to track those people. And when I say system, piece of paper, a notebook, a list on your phone, like, it's not a big deal, right? And then follow up with those people. That's a very important healthy habit. Another healthy habit that we want to consistently be doing in our business in regards to recruiting is Earn a kit. Earn a kit is such a blessing, y'all. We begged Scentsy for that for so long. For years, we would have to finagle it a different way to be able to get people to earn their kits for free. It was like, ugh, it was so annoying. Now it's easy breezy. Earn a kit right from Scentsy. Okay. So I know that sometimes we get in our heads and we think, oh, I'm not going to offer it to her. I've offered it to her before, or oh, I'm not going to offer it to her. Or we just forget sometimes because it's not a habit. So how do we ensure that we make that a habit, right? We've got to use these practices from James Clear, read his book, watch TED Talks that he's done, like learn from him. You know, I've just shared tiny little nuggets with you guys today that have hopefully piqued your interest to want to learn more. But that is a very important healthy habit that we need to consistently be doing. And every single month, doing our own party. Not so we can just get all the rewards. I mean, yeah, if we don't have somebody to take the kit, then sure, we get all the rewards. But really focusing on building a party every single month for ourselves so we can in turn gift that kit to someone who needs it. There are people out there who need this business opportunity who cannot afford a $59 kit. There are people out there who need this business opportunity and would be so grateful to be given this business for free. Okay, so that is another important healthy habit that we need to be doing. Sharing our stories on social media. Okay, sharing why we're doing this and how this business is blessing our lives. I'm not saying every single week you need to do a live and say, hi, I'm Kim, and I started selling Scentsy because I wanted to supplement my income. And now I'm able to supplement my income with Scentsy. You should try that too. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, in a consistent method that changes, you need to be sharing messaging out there in the internet about how this business is blessing your life. Posts about what you're doing and how your business is part of that. Lives about what you're doing and how your business is part of that, right? Like, for example, are you going out to dinner with your husband? Or are you going to a theme park for the day? Or are you buying this cute pair of shoes that you've had your eye on? Or are you paying down a card? Like, anything that you're proud of, freaking share it on social media. And don't just share it, but share how it makes you feel. Like, you can bet your butt when we paid off all of our credit card debt, I posted about that on social media. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with sharing how this business is blessing your life, because there are people who need that. There are a lot of people who need that. When you're using your Scentsy pay card at the gas pump, share that. My gosh, do people need that now more than ever? And have a consistent pattern of sharing how this business is blessing your life in posts and in stories and video. So my challenge to you is at least once a week, in some way, any of those methods, share how this business is blessing your life. Find a way, right? Even if it's as simple as, oh my gosh, I just took the most amazing bath and I got paid to take that bath. Heck yeah. You know, because guess what? You get paid to take a bath, right? You get paid to take a bath. As long as you're using Scentsy soap when you take a bath. Oh. I feel like we can share and be successful, but so many recruits don't want to do the work to be successful too. How do we remedy this? So that's like a totally different training. But what I will say is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. That's just the facts, right? The majority of the people come into this business for a hobby or just a discount for themselves. I mean, heck, even I started my business just for a discount for myself. I did not start this for a business. So the majority of people that come into this business are not here for the same reasons you're here and I'm here, and are not going to put in the effort that you or I are putting into our business. That's just the truth, unfortunately. But there are things that we can do. And honestly, if you go to my YouTube channel, there's a lot of videos on that. Like helping your Scentsy team members find success is the title of one of them. But what I will say is, I think the most important thing that we do it starts from the very beginning. So with all of our brand new recruits, we have got to be getting them setting short-term goals. And that's why I'm so passionate about this 3x3x3 initiative, because it's kind of the same thing, but it's for all consultants. So if you're not participating in the 3x3x3 initiative, you have until the 20th to turn in your form and participate in that quarterly goal setting thing we're doing. We did it Q1 and it was very successful, and we're doing it again. But setting short-term goals, and not just goals like, when I promote to star consultant. That's not what I'm talking about. Promoting to star consultant is part of your action plan, right? It's not the goal. Like, why do you want to promote to star consultant? Well, probably because you want to promote to director. And why do you want to promote to director? Probably because you want to average like $2,000-$3,000 paychecks or more a month, right? It's important that we identify goals that are for our life, that will bless our life, and that we work towards those things. So when we bring on a new team member, every single new recruit, literally every single new recruit, I have them set a goal for what they want to be able to do as a result of their very first commission check. I don't care if they tell me that they joined because they just want a discount for themselves. I have this conversation with every single new recruit. And the reason why is, if they set a goal and achieve a goal, number one, the very most important thing is it builds belief in themselves, and it builds belief in this business opportunity. When someone joins this business, they have no idea what they're capable of, and they have no idea what this business is capable of, like them and the business as a team, right? They have no idea what is possible. And so it's our job to believe in them and help them to believe in themselves. As their sponsors, that's what we have to do, right? They don't know. They have no idea. So we have to show them. And that is how we do it. There is nothing that builds belief like success. Nothing. So every single new recruit of mine over the last year, that since I've been doing this, that has set a short-term 30-day goal, their very first commission check, what they want to do with it, every single one of them who has done that and achieved that has continued on to set more goals and work to grow their business. Every single one of them. Those who didn't set a goal or just were like, kind of brushed it off, didn't really pursue it, they have not continued to set goals. So my point is, if we can get them doing that from the very beginning, it builds their belief and it encourages them, because again, what is immediately rewarded is repeated, right? Isn't that what James Clear taught us? Right? What is immediately rewarded is repeated. So if they set a short-term 30-day goal, what they want to do with their very first commission check, and they achieve that, they're like, oh, okay. And so I say, hey, what do you want to do with your next one? Let's pick a new thing. And I tell them, I want you to pick something that's going to make you feel so good, that's going to, just make you feel so proud. Most of the time, it's a date night. Truly. Most of the time, they want to do a date night with their husband or their significant other. That's literally the majority of the time what it is. And I've also had sometimes it be like getting my hair done. But the majority of the time, it's a date night, which I think is pretty cool. And then when they're able to do that and take their significant other on a date, on their very first Scentsy commission check, they feel so freaking good and they want that feeling again. So that is the most important thing that we do as leaders who want to help people find success. And the 3x3x3 is like the same thing, but it's over a 3-month period, and it's 3 goals. 3 goals that you want to achieve within the next 3 months. 3 things that you want to do or buy or book or schedule, right? Like let's say that you want to buy tickets to the Beyonce concert within the next 3 months. Okay, how much is that going to cost you? Okay, $300. Okay, cool. So if you want to earn $300, that's X amount in PRV. So let's make sure that we get you that amount of PRV so you can buy those $300 worth of tickets. And we work backwards from that goal. Okay, if you need X amount of PRV, then that means we need 2 parties or we need 3 parties. So do you have any parties booked yet this month? No? Okay, cool. Let's do a little booking blitz. Send some messages. Let's get those parties booked. That's it. That's coaching. That's it. Just little conversations like that on Messenger. But that's why I love the 3-3-3, 3x3x3 initiative, because it's duplicating that same success that I'm finding with helping new recruits set a goal for their first 30-day paycheck for all consultants on a quarterly basis. So a little more time so we can have a little bit bigger goals, and personal things that make you feel good, that make you feel proud to do or buy or book or schedule or whatever. You want a freaking spa day? Let's get you a spa day. Come on. That's what is your Scentsy business for if not to be able to do things like that for yourself? You want to pay your cell phone bill? Let's freaking pay your cell phone bill. Let's do it. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to go over a couple more things. So other healthy recruiting habits that we want to consistently be in the pattern of doing. We've talked about understanding the difference between no for now and having a list to track those people. We talked about offering the earn a kit. We talked about consistently sharing messaging about how the business is blessing your life. The other thing that I think is very, very important, and honestly, it's really the foundational habit of being a good recruiter, is networking. Okay. The biggest hurdle that people face in recruiting is that they just keep consistently trying to hit up the same people over and over and over, the same hostesses, the same customers, the same people in your network over and over and over and over. And that is why you hit a recruiting dry spell. If you are not networking, you do not have new people to present the business opportunity to. So when I say you need to be in the habit of offering the business opportunity to 10 people every single month, because again, that's another habit, right? Not focusing on, like I said at the beginning, not focusing on, I want to recruit 2 people every single month. Yes, that's our goal. But if we focus on the number of conversations we're having every single month, that goal will be the result. Okay, so 10 conversations a month. You cannot have 10 conversations a month with the same people. Let's say you have 100 contacts, right? Let's say you have 100 customers. You're going to run out real quick of people to talk to if you're trying to talk to 10 people a month every single month, just pulling from your 100 customers. So that's why networking and partying are so important to your recruiting. And you will notice you will go in major recruiting dry spells if you are not partying and if you are not networking. Okay. Networking doesn't have to be this big thing that we make it. Networking is literally going about your life with intention. Going about your life with intention of talking to people and sharing what you do and meeting these people, right? So you're on social media already. How are you networking on social media? Are you in groups for your interests and your hobbies, right? Like my new hobby, Peloton. I'm obsessed. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. I love it so much. I am in like 5 Peloton groups now on Facebook that I wasn't in before. And a couple of them have a weekly thread where they allow you to post things about your business. And they do allow MLMs. They're not jerks. So that's one example of a group that I'm in that I am talking and interacting with and trying to build connections in those groups. So social media groups, social media hashtags, social media, just following people that you want to, like, who are the people that you want on your team? Are you following them on social media? Are you talking to them on social media? Are you engaging with them on social media? Are you putting your best foot forward with them on social media? Because we all have those dream team members. How are you wooing them, right? How are you wooing those people? Anyway, that was kind of a side note, but so social media, right? And speaking of social media, like, oh my goodness, like one of my favorite things to do on social media is just sell crap. We all have tons of crap laying around the house that we don't need. Sell it, make a little extra cash. And while you're at it and you meet up with that person, give them a bag of some Scentsy stuff. Give them a catalog. Give them, usually what I do, because it's usually another mom. So usually what I do is a catalog, a pen, a magnet, a sample of Scentsy soap, a sample of room spray, and usually a scent circle with a little note. And I'll say something like, from one mom to another, enjoy a nice bath on me. You know, enjoy a relaxing bath on me. You know, something like that. But when I do that, I then add them as a friend on Facebook. I then message them to follow up. Hey, did you like that? You know, did you like, you know, your Scentsy goodie bag? And, you know, how are the boys liking the new thing, you know, the new toy or whatever, right? Like, that's networking. It's just being friendly. It's just putting yourself out there, not just you, but your brand, which is Ferris, Scentsy Consultant, Katie, Scentsy Consultant. My brand is not Scentsy. My brand is Katie, Scentsy Consultant, right? It's you, okay? So social media is an amazing resource for us to network. So for those of you who, like me, are at home a lot, social media is still a great opportunity to network. It really still is. You know, Instagram is probably my favorite. You know, I do a lot of networking on Instagram, a lot of connecting on Instagram, just from hashtags that I follow, hashtags that I like, things that I like Disney World or Ray Dunn or Peloton or whatever, and just engaging with people, commenting on other people's posts, connecting, friending. Because here's the thing, when I add you as a friend, you're going to see my stories. You're going to see my posts. You're going to see when I post about my commission check, or when I post about whatever positive things about my business. Oh, look at this thing that I got, you know, another pin for my cork board from Scentsy, you know, whatever. They're going to see all of those things. So, and it's going to spark their interest, right? So those are just a few things that I wanted to share with you guys for tips. But going back, I want to have you guys think back to the question that I asked you at the beginning, which is, what is one tiny habit that you weren't already doing, or maybe you were doing, but very inconsistently? What is one tiny habit that you can start incorporating tomorrow? And I want you to write it out to yourself in your notes there. I want you to write it out in a statement, like an I can statement. So basically, let's say that your tiny habit is, I'm going to post about my business opportunity more on social media, right? So to really hone that in and make it specific, you could say, choose a day of the week, right? Like for me, okay? Every Friday at 3:00 p.m., I am going to do a live or a story about my business opportunity and how this business is blessing my life, and I want to help other people's lives be blessed, right? So every Friday at 3:00, that's what I'm going to do, right? So I want to encourage you to identify what that tiny habit is and the circumstances for which you're going to do it, right? What is the date? What is the time? If you can, ideally the time. And then do everything you can, again, to make those hard habits more attractive, right? To reduce the friction, right? We talked about, right? Preparing the space or preparing what you need in advance to do that thing, to do that task, right? Like maybe it's follow up with potential recruits, okay? So maybe it's put that potential recruit list out on your counter, you know, whatever it might be, to reduce the friction, to put it right in front of your face, okay? And I really want to encourage you to check out James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. It really will change your life. My business has gotten so much to the point where these are just habits. I really just don't even like think about it anymore. I don't have systems. I just have habits. So that's why when people are like, oh, I want a training on systems, it's like, I don't really have systems. I just have habits. I just have healthy habits for my business that I do because I've been doing the business for 12 years, but my healthy habits more like 10 years. So if we focus on these tiny, tiny things, these small habits that we consistently do, that's when we're going to see the dramatic change. It's not one big dramatic month of things that we do and then a couple months of slack and then one big dramatic month of things we do. That is not what's going to bring about success. It's the tiny, small actions done consistently that are going to compound and create a great business. All right, y'all. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's Rising Leader Huddle. April. Wow, it's already April. Wow. But thank you for joining.